Welcome to the Golf Improvement Podcast, episode 230.
Welcome to the podcast for golf lovers who are looking to shoot lower scores. Dedicated to professional club fitting, putting and short game improvement, and effective practice techniques to improve your golf game. This is the Golf Improvement Podcast with your host, Tony Wright.
Hello, this is Tony Wright from Game Improvement Golf in Oak Ridge, Tennessee with the Golf Improvement Podcast, dedicated to sharing useful information on professional club fitting, putting and short game improvement, and effective practice techniques. Changing golfers' lives, one golfer at a time. I last interviewed Mike Romatowski, the creator of the amazing Mach 3 speed training system, in 2019. But this doesn't mean I haven't been following him on social media to see some of the amazing successes he's had to help golfers create, on average, swing speed increases of 11.5 miles an hour. Seems almost unreal unless you truly understand what Mike has done working with thousands of golfers around the world. I was so excited to have Mike back to let you hear from him about his Mach 3 speed training system, his training principles, and training tools.
Tony Wright and Game Improvement Golf, changing golfers' lives, one golfer at a time.
Welcome to episode 230 of the Golf Improvement Podcast. And I'm welcoming back Mike Romatowski, the creator of the Revolutionary Mach 3 golf speed training system. It's a year-round speed training program that's helped golfers on average to improve their swing speeds by 11.5 miles an hour. He's also created a unique group of speed training tools that help golfers experience the sensation of speed out in front, and we'll talk about those. I know he's a very, very busy man, so thanks again for doing a new one of these, Mike. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing. Yeah, 230, that's quite impressive.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Well, Mike, we did an interview in 2019, but I hope you will talk a little bit and share a little bit of your story again for my audience, how you decided to get into the field of helping golfers to improve their swing speeds through personal training and golf fitness.
Yeah, sure. So I come from the Maryland area and was there for quite a long time, doing basically kind of more basic personal training. Then got into something called post-rehab, meaning taking golfers who had been injured and had been through physical therapy, so helping them segue back to the game. So that's what I was doing. In 2017, I moved to San Antonio, Texas. I was kind of just starting over again. And I had a pretty big gym area and then a couple outdoor kids, junior academies I was working with. So had a lot of space and just thought, I really would like to get into the clubhead speed arena. And because I had more space, it was easier to do. So I just kind of plunged in, and I think my timing was good maybe because that was right about the time where people were realizing how important distance is in modern golf. So, I've been fortunate. It took off quite quickly and, have done well with it. And we're pretty much a worldwide company now. So I think I've just been very fortunate and that I had good timing with what I wanted to do. And so, it's been a lot of fun. It's taken me all over the country, back and forth, and overseas also. So it's been great.
That's pretty neat. I'm guessing thousands of people.
Well, yeah. So in our gym in San Antonio, we actually had about 2,000 golfers in through the doors in the 7 years I was there. I moved up now to South Lake, Texas, which is I'm actually right next to DFW Airport. And then including the workshops, because, we did about 160 workshops around the country. So, 10, 20, 30 golfers at each of those, plus all the coaches that we have now around the world reporting in with their results. So I have a big database, a very large sample size. And again, been fortunate that so many coaches were open-minded enough to see what I was bringing to the table and also reporting in the results that their golfers have gotten.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So your Mach 3 training system is based on a bunch of different key concepts, I would say, but maybe the biggest one is what you call speed out in front. And you also talk about dynamic oscillating variable resistance and kind of a neat one, the concept of fatigue management so that people get optimal results. Talk a little bit about each of these little pieces of that puzzle.
Okay, and just remind me as I go in case I'm leaving one out. But speed out in front basically means you can think of it in terms of your energy expenditure and where you're sending your energy. So on the most surface level, you're trying to be faster beyond the ball. But if you nuance it a little more than that, it's quite a bit more than that. It's your speed, your strength out in front, your energy out in front, your focus out in front, your imagination out in front, your visualization. So in other words, pretty much everything that you do in not only playing the game, but training for the game, you are focused on the area out in front of the ball toward the target. So in Mach 3, there's no real technique. There is your awareness that you're trying to be faster, stronger, and more energetic beyond the ball. So that's a very basic principle. And really what you want to do in speed training or in any kind of golf training, you want to operate by principles, not by technique. Technique is the hardest way to go. So if I give you a simple example, let's take putting. You might have a principle that I never leave a putt short. And I'm not judging whether that's a good principle or a bad principle.
Yeah, right.
I'm saying it's a principle. And you can do that with any technique. You could use a straight back, straight through stroke. You could use an arcing stroke. You could de-loft the putter. You could increase the loft of the putter, right? Those are all techniques. But your principle you're abiding by is this putt will not be short. And so if we translate that into Mach 3 now with speed out in front, that's always the overriding thing that you're trying to do. You could have an upright swing, a more flatter swing, and you could name 20 different basic swing patterns. But your principle is, I want to be fast out in front. So what that does for you biomechanically is it makes you much more efficient. And the principle there really is that destination drives movement. So what you're really saying is, I move the way I do because I am going somewhere. And we don't want the somewhere to be the ball. We want the somewhere to be the finish area of your swing, because that's going to dictate how you move. And where golfers get in trouble is they're orienting all their movements to the ball. But if you think about the journey of the swing, the ball is at roughly a halfway point. So you don't want to orient your movements to a halfway point. It would be just like if you taught me how to throw a right cross, let's say. I want you to put me at the finish of that movement first. That's the first thing I want to know is, where am I going? What's the end point? And I want you to put me there before you show me anything else. Once I know that, my movement and my learning process and my learning curve will be much more fluid and much shorter. Because knowing where I'm going teaches me how to move. Okay, so
That's
the
piece
only
one.
shot in
Yeah,
golf
right.
the only shot in golf I can think of where that doesn't finish forward and upward and a little to my left, if I'm a right-hand golfer, is maybe a buried bunker lie, because that can be kind of, I'm going to stab this club head into the sand abruptly and pop the ball out. So the finish of that movement is down where the ball is. Other than that, I can't think of one, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be forward of me, upward of the ground. And so you might, even if you're trying to say, well, what is out in front? It's, let's call it 8 feet forward, 7 feet upward, and 2 feet to my left. Okay, that's where I want to orient all my movements, and you can really take it to a high level by saying everything I do, not only moving toward and beyond the ball, but away from the ball. So in my driver swing, not only am I going to that area, I'm pulling from that area. So we say to there, from there. So now if you imagine yourself at address with your driver and you think about, okay, the first 18 inches of the backswing movement, I want to pull that from the finish of the swing or that area that's out in front of me, not from the ball. I want to pull from the front, not the ball.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to be faster out in front, and I'm also trying to pull more powerfully from the front. So that gives me width, and that gives me a wider arc, and that gives me more engagement of my trunk muscles, and a whole lot of things happen. So, kind of since the beginning, where we were just saying speed out in front, now it's to there and from there also. So every move I make is oriented to that area where I'm going to finish the swing.
Yeah. And so the second one was kind of the dynamic oscillating variable resistance, right?
Yeah. So let's say you're in the gym and you're going to train for golf with a cable, which a lot of golf training seems to be, or even a band. So that resistance is just traveling along a linear path, and it's very constant. So there isn't any variation in the tension or really the engagement of your body along that path. And every rep is exactly the same because the cable is just on a fixed path, right?
Yeah.
It's always the same on every rep. Well, if you use any Mach 3 tool, pretty much, the resistance is alive. It's oscillating and it's vibrating and it's traveling. So no 2 reps are going to be exactly the same. Because if you are projecting your force out in front with one of these tools, then you're also going to immediately pull it back again. So the resistance profile is completely different, and it's a much higher neurological engagement because you're creating the motion and you're having to react to the motion simultaneously. So now you're an athlete. Now you are creating forces and opposing forces and countering forces and having to maintain dynamic balance and repeatedly project a thrust of energy and then pull it back again. So it's much more lively. It's much more athletic. Neurologically, it's going to shorten it's going to increase your rate of progress very dynamically. So, for example, one of these tools we have that have long ropes attached, you're basically throwing the rope out in front of you with some kind of a handle and then pulling it back again. That's variable resistance. It's not like a static cable. So there's the difference. It's way more efficient.
And then finally, making sure you take enough kind of rest, right? And fatigue management.
Yeah. So the biggest mistake in speed training is trying to turn it into an endurance contest. Because speed is in golf, how long does that swing take? It's a second or a second and a half, whatever it is. So you don't really want to train for golf by doing 3 sets of 15 or, something with a static resistance, something like that. The main key to getting faster is actually don't make yourself tired, because when you're tired, you're slower. So that's the thing to avoid. So we're basically training in short bursts with adequate rest in between. We want to be pretty much fully recovered by the next set. We want to be out of the set before we get tired. So there isn't anything in Mach 3 that's going to be like really high repetitions or something that's lasting 20 or 40 or 60 seconds. The reps are usually going to be below 6, and the length of the set's going to be less than 8 seconds.
And I mess that up all the time when I'm trying to do that part.
Yeah, because it's natural. If you grew up playing sports or working out, your basic thought was the harder I push this workout, the better it is for me. But that does not work in speed training. So you want to be thinking, okay, I'm a performance athlete here. All I need to do is be at my highest performance level for each set. So I don't want to be tired. I want the opposite of that.
And if you're hitting a driver, you're not hitting it 6 times in a row, are you?
No, think about that. Okay, typical golf course, you might hit the driver a maximum of 14 times over, let's call it a 4.5 hour time frame. So do the math on that. 270, I think, divided by 14. Whatever that turns out to be, you're going to be hitting a drive like every 14, 15, 16, 17 minutes. So it's a singular event. And if you're trying to increase your distance, you're trying to become not only more explosive, but more efficient. But you really don't need to train for that like in any kind of an endurance manner. So again, brief sets, spaced adequately apart, focusing on optimal performance, and literally focusing on not being tired.
Yeah. Great concepts or principles, as you say.
Principles.
Now,
yeah.
Yeah. So someone looking on your site sees 7 individual tools, but you've been focusing a lot on your Facebook page, and anybody who wants to see a lot of really neat videos, get on your Facebook page or Instagram and see them. But they're, the JetStick, come on, Tony, the SpeedBomber and the IronWhip, and the IronWhip is fascinating to me. Talk a little bit about how you developed each of these 3 and how they function differently, because I think they do.
Yeah. So a JetStick is basically the closest thing we have to an overspeed tool. And it's really the only one that you can swing super fast. But it's designed in a way to be easy on your body. So if you were just to have like a golf shaft with a fixed weight on the end, that is what's called end loaded. And biomechanically, it's not the best way to go. And also it transmits a lot of force and stress to the body. So a JetStick has the end is kind of dissipating the stress. Hard to describe without, seeing it, but the way that the end of the shaft, the way the weight is attached, it's dissipating the stress, and it's actually more conducive to good biomechanics in terms of the timing of the release. So there's your overspeed tool. That will speed everybody up. It will not necessarily improve everybody's biomechanics, but that's not what we use it for. Then you have a SpeedBomber, which is a heavier tool where the part you're holding is stiff, but the far end is flexing. So that's really interesting because that flexing part acts as what's called a force multiplier. So even though you can't swing it as fast as a JetStick, by the way it's flexing, it enables you to project more force, but still designed to be easy on the body. Also, that flexing action controls the path of delivery. So it's literally not possible to take a SpeedBomber and swing it steeply over the top or on any other poor path. It basically creates its own path, and it's going to be optimal. It's going to be what you might call shallowish from the inside-ish. Okay, so you can't change that very much. So that tool is what I call good for strengthening the entire swing arc, and also for teaching you especially how to load and unload your body. So that's a really good complement to the JetStick. And then the newest one of those three is called an IronWhip, and that has been really a revelation to me because I designed it to try to accomplish one thing and found that the benefits of it went far beyond that. So I was envisioning it mainly as a iron and wedge striking tool. Which is why it's called an IronWhip, and specifically to try to teach golfers how to flight their irons and wedges. In other words, how to bring the trajectory down if they wanted to hit a flatter or lower type shot. And because it's hard to learn that intellectually, but it's easy to learn it if you've got a tool that just is very conducive to that motion and gives you the feedback as to when it's correct. So that's where I started, and it's a simple looking tool, but we tested it for 11 months in the gym before I got it the way I wanted it, because what I found is I had to find the right length of shaft and the right weight of shaft in relation to the length and the weight of the band and the positioning of the band. So even though when you look at it now, it looks like really simple, it took quite a while to get to the point where I could see it working for everybody. And then I realized a few months ago, like, we're really underutilizing this tool. Because, again, a JetStick speeds you up, but doesn't necessarily improve your biomechanics. A SpeedBomber makes you stronger and improves most golfers' biomechanics. An IronWhip improves everyone's biomechanics. It's foolproof, basically. So also what we found is that when we would drill with the IronWhip and then we would go hit drivers, the driver ball speed was way up. So that's a huge thing because ball speed's even more important than clubhead speed. So now what we have, we call it a swing trio. It's a JetStick, a SpeedBomber, and an IronWhip. We want everybody to have all three, and we sort of are programming for all three because they complement one another, and it gives you a wide variety of drills that you can do to reach the end objective that you are a stronger golfer who delivers higher speed on an optimal path.
And it's interesting I've been sick for about a week, okay? But so for the first time, I had enough energy to swing that again a little bit. And the feeling that, I don't know if it's, you want to call click or whatever that sound when it works.
That's like a whip cracking sound.
Yeah, like a whip cracking sound. It just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, because it gives you a sense of timing. And also, if the sound is sharp and cracking like a whip, it's actually telling you that your hand path is optimal and that you are becoming better at creating stiffness in the body at the right moment. If it's kind of a quiet and more fluttering sound, it either means your hands are too far from your body or they're actually traveling out away from your body when they should be in tight. So there's a lot of feedback there. And so again, we're always looking to shorten the learning curve. And this is a way that the hard way to go in golf instruction is to try to process everything intellectually or to try to break what should be a flowing singular motion into parts and then somehow think that you can then string the parts together. So that's the hard way to do it. The easy way is to have a tool and to have drills where you can sense the entire motion as a whole and something is happening giving you feedback, whether it's a rope traveling out and back, whether it's the swishing sound of a JetStick, whether it's the sharp cracking sound of an IronWhip, whether it's the flexing action of a SpeedBomber. All those things are giving you feedback. They're helping your timing. They're helping your sequencing. So they are delivering more optimal biomechanics because they're making you more efficient. And so really, as time has gone by, I've learned really we want everybody as much as possible to have all three of those, because it's giving you a very well-rounded experience and a lot of different avenues of feedback.
Well, I like I mentioned earlier, I watch a lot of your Facebook posts, but when I watch some of them now, it's like it's almost something clicks for you with everyone almost immediately. It's like you see something, right? So I guess there's like been a progression for you, probably longer than that, but over the 6 years since we talked again, what are those things you feel like you've learned over the last 6 years or so that have really just accelerated what you're able to do with people?
Yeah. So we started basically being only speed, meaning club head speed and ball speed. And as I got, as I honestly don't believe anybody has tested more people's speed than me in the last 7 years. I can't imagine how they would do it, because it's kind of all I do all day, every day, and with, thousands of people. So I think I might have the most experience of anybody with trying to, with a human being in front of me, show them how to increase their speed. So you get a lot of feedback. And what you find out, number one, this is not about your level of exertion. So if you were with me, I would never tell you to swing harder or to try to swing as hard as you can.
Yeah.
I would say we're doing this through efficiency. So it's the difference between you trying harder and you letting yourself be faster. And when we get better sequencing and, better pressures and forces and all of those things, we want it to be not being processed by your brain, but we want to find just the tools and the drills that make these things happen. And once we know your best drills and your best tools, all you have to do is do them.
Yeah.
You can use your brain to strategize your way around the golf course. And you can use the feels you've developed with your training tools to take care of the swing part. So that's a huge thing. I mean, really, you don't want to be a brainiac golfer as much as you want to be an athletic golfer who has developed feels that resonate with you.
What a great way of saying it. Yeah.
That's just, it makes everything so much easier. And really, if you think about this, how many of us, let's say we were taught golf when we were 10 years old or 15 years old. Okay, now you're 50 or 60 or 65 or 70, and you still aren't sure how to swing. And you're still standing in front of a mirror trying to rehearse your positions. Well, how can that be? How can in 50 years you don't know how to swing? So it's because you learned it in a non-athletic, non-free-flowing way that didn't resonate with you from the beginning, right? I learned how to drive a car in 2 days, I would think. One day to learn how to drive it and one day to learn not how to kill someone while I'm driving it. And since then, I've never had to rehearse it again. I've never had to learn it again. Because somebody gave me permission to move on. They said, okay, you got it. Right? So I don't rehearse how to back in and out of my parking spot or rehearse how to change lanes. Like, I just do it because I know how to do it. And so we're not delivering a message, up front enough. You've got that. What you just did was really good. Now let's move on. Let's go learn how to hit 10 different kinds of chip shots and pitch shots or whatever. So we focus on like swing mechanics. And nobody ever feels comfortable that they're doing it the best way for them. So
do you get a lot of people? I just really have to ask. Sorry,
yeah.
Do you get a lot of people that, like a week after and say, boy, I'm just different?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, if you give me a raw beginner, somebody who's never played golf ever, I'm going to lay my money on in 30 minutes, their swing's going to look like a tour player. I'm not saying they're going to go hit the ball like a tour player, but like if you were to watch them swing, you'd be like, they're not a beginner. Yeah, that's an easy thing to do with the right tools and the right drills. It takes no time at all. So I know in my heart that the best way to go about this is not with complex, here's the positions, here's the parts of the swing type of teaching. It's more like, let me show you where you're going to finish. Now let me show you how to flow back and forth from there. Hey, guess what? You have a damn good swing. And I know it's only been 15 minutes, but that's how quick it can happen. So it's actually also a lot easier to teach somebody golf if you don't have a ball that they're hitting right away.
Yeah.
You're teaching them movement. And I can absolutely guarantee you that if you were to come in for a few days and we're just working on movement, once I put a ball in front of you, you're miles and miles and miles ahead of the normal beginner. And you're going to be way more efficient, and you're actually going to have way more speed than they would normally have. So that's with a raw beginner. Now you come to mid-level players and elite level players. It's the same, right? Everybody can usually move better, even the best of golfers. So the question is, okay, can I get them to be open to the fact that all you really need is to know where's the finish and how to flow back and forth to and from that place, and pretty much everything you're doing is going to be more optimal.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Well, I know you have created a new partnership that you're excited about, and I hope you talk a little bit about this, but you're also doing some new Mach 3 programs in 2026 and starting to do more to track golfers' efforts, which I think is kind of cool. So talk a bit about all that.
Yeah. So number one, we are actually about to rebrand. We've always been known as Mach 3 Speed Training, and we're going to be known as Mach 3 Golf. And within that, those parameters, we're going to have three separate divisions. One is speed, one is strength or gym training, and one is swing. Because we have learned over time how easy it is for these tools to be used, how to teach the swing. And there's actually several top 100 teachers in the country who teach almost exclusively with Mach 3 tools. So actually teaching swing mechanics. And so we have a wonderful younger instructor in Austin named Mason Wyatt. He's heading up the swing division. I'm still the speed guy, and my new partner, Jarrett Phillips, here in Southlake, Texas, he's kind of spearheading the gym training part. So we'll be able to be more varied in the approach that we can take and give more complete programming. And so in that vein, in 2026, we're going to be using a very high-performance app and also a virtual course. So people will have two different options to get like an entire year of programming, and mostly focusing on that, what we call the swing trio, which is SpeedBomber, JetStick, IronWhip.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a lot better way to deliver really high quality programming that's very detailed, so that can actually carry you through an entire year of your training sessions, progressing and kind of really mapping out all the things you can do, not only for your speed, but your strength and your swing patterns. Swing is something I've kind of stayed out of, for the most part, because that's not my wheelhouse. And really, now I have people as partners that speak that language. So that's very valuable to me, because now I'm totally comfortable. I've known all along that we can create, quote unquote, better swings with Mach 3 tools, but since it's not my lane, I kind of haven't ventured in there.
Yeah.
But now I've partnered up with some people that can present that information crystal clear in the language that other swing instructors use to communicate and can understand. And whether it's sort of lower tech swing instruction or even higher tech, we can deliver that quite easily.
And then the other piece is metrics, right?
Yeah, so we want to be very data and evidence driven. And that's another thing. My new partner, Jared Phillips, he's the evidence-based guy. He's the man who wants to be able to prove everything and not only prove that things work, but why they work. And, I can remember early on having a workshop in San Antonio where I had 6 guys in from around the country, and they're all very high tech and all top 50 guys. And so one of them, during that day, he went up 16 miles an hour in his speed. And at the end of the day, he was dumbfounded. He said, okay, I give you that it works, but why does it work? And I said, because of speed out in front. And he said, no, but why? Like, show me what's happening. And I'm like thinking, well, my explanation is speed out in front makes everything else more optimal, right? So if I had that same workshop now, all I got to do is have Mason there and Jarrett, and they can get as technical as you want.
Yeah,
because it's still not my wheelhouse. I'm not any kind of advanced biomechanist. All I know is I can promise you that I will get you somewhere between 6 and 18 miles an hour of clip head speed, and somewhere between 12 and 24 miles an hour of ball speed, because I've done that thousands of times and I absolutely know it's going to happen. But now, I can deliver you an explanation in your language as well as in my language.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat addition. So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. So any kind of final words you want to end with about just takeaways you want people to remember? Yeah.
So number one is be open-minded when you're on your golf journey. There's a lot of information out there and avenues that you can explore. And I'm super confident in what I teach. So if you want to know more about it, our website is mach3speedtraining.com. On Facebook, I am just basically Michael Romatowski. I do have a business page, but to be honest, I post on my personal page way more. So Michael Romatowski on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Mach 3 Speed Training. And I post lots of videos every day, all the time. So there's a lot there that you could look at if you want to know more about Mach 3.
That's great. Well, I appreciate working our little glitch here that we had that nobody knows about, but it worked out. I can't remember. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I know you have
We do have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is Mach 3 Speed Training 104.
Because I think, there's a video for each of those 3 tools too.
Yeah, there's a complete video of all the drills for each of those tools. And so when somebody buys Mach 3 training tools through our website, within 12 hours, they will get a series of videos. There's actually a warm-up video. There's a Mach 3 concept video. And there will be a video of the drills for the tools they bought, and also a PDF that has sample beginner, intermediate, and advanced workouts. So that's enough for anyone to make really good progress. But like I say, in 2026, right up front, we'll have a new virtual course. And it has 4 workouts a week, and it literally has each workout day, it has its own video of the drills and then a PDF. And so that's more for kind of recreational golfers and people that need a more streamlined delivery of information. And then at some point early in 2026, we'll have an app presence that has a more complex approach. So like for competitive golfers or golfers who are more adept at using apps. So we'll have 2 distinct avenues by which they can Both will be a monthly subscription, and both will basically be looking to deliver a full year of workouts in a progressive fashion.
I'm glad we ended up pulling those two pieces in. So,
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Mike.
So grateful that you had me on again.
Oh, you're very kind. I mean, I love following all your stuff. And, like I said, I've got the tools. I got to get back at it a little bit. And, I think, I work with JP Guidry some.
Yeah. Love that guy. He's so good.
He's a great guy. And we're going to sort of go the next phase where I just have a program that's going to just keep being sustained. And at my age, I need to do it. I mean, for more than the golf, it's 76.
And so you're in really good hands with him.
Yeah, he's got it right.
The Golf Improvement Podcast is sponsored by David Orr and the Flatstick Academy, putting instruction without all of the bull. www.flatstickacademy.com.
Thanks again to David Orr and the Flatstick Academy for sponsoring my podcast and website in 2025. In the link I've provided, you'll see that David has created more than 385 Flatstick videos, more than 7,000 hours of content, and 90 premium articles. Subscriber cost $9.99 a month. Incredible value for the money, especially if you want to stop being swayed by much of the awful putting content you see from Dr. YouTube. See www.flatstickacademy.com for more details. I just came home from the 6th Flatstick Putting Conference. Thanks to you, David, and all of the conference speakers for another great learning event. Mike, it was such a pleasure to again let you share what you do with my listeners. It was exciting to hear about your continued successes and future plans. I put links in the show notes to Mike's Mach 3 speed training website and also to his YouTube channel, where you can take a deeper dive into how he trains, his training tools, and some of the wonderful results he has helped golfers achieve. Well, I'm not sure I ever did a shout out about myself, but there's a first time for everything, right? At the December Flatstick Conference, David Orr told me that I passed the exam to become a Level 2 Flatstick certified coach. I spent a lot of time, over more than a year, reviewing all of the videos on the Flatstick Academy website to help me answer the questions in this exam. It wasn't in any way easy, but it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. Thanks, David. If you click the link in the show notes for this episode, you'll see all of my favorite previously published podcast content. I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube podcast channel and also like the episodes you listen to through YouTube. Thanks. Well, that's it for today. I'm looking forward to really soon doing an interview with Kevin Davidson, the author of the wonderful new book, The Magic in St. Andrews by the Positive Golfer. 293 pages of terrific stories for golfers. But until then, take care. God bless Ukraine, and God bless America.
Game Improvement Golf, changing golfers' lives, one golfer at a time. www.gameimprovementgolf.com